Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at spells for days. So this is similar to the old D-Shift style decks, mainly using Rooney and the Prophecy of Doom card to kind of finish them off, but I've also added in a few other little ways to go for things such as Snowmen, which can set up things quite nicely. I've got a single Giant Chimera to take abuse of the spells that I'm using, and I think one is just a nice card to have in case you are missing just that little bit of damage that you need to get. Otherwise, everything else is pretty standard spell boost style stuff. I am using Staff of Whirlwinds because I really wanted something to remove those kind of Forest or Shadow or Blood matchups where things can get super awkward. Of course, the triple Chimera because you would run that in every spell boost deck, your triple Owl to boost things, and then just a bunch of spells that either summon followers, do damage, or end up drawing us cards, which is very important. Of course, Sun and Moon is great for that because it's an infinitely recyclable spell, provided they aren't banished preemptively, which is great. So we'll get right into it and take a look at the deck. So our first game here is against Portalcraft. Portalcraft can be quite fast, both its puppet variant and artifact variant do have some pretty early win cons which can go against how this Runecraft deck plays. It is more of a spell control variant of deck where you want to be able to push out as much as you can, as hard as you can, and as fast as you can, but obviously that is still going to be reasonably slow. Then we've also got some really good cards here that come down to Owl being our crux, especially since we have drawn our Rooney early. Drawing Rooney is the important part of this deck. If you can get it before turn 4 and play it out, usually you can do quite well because you've now got a spell boostable card that's super early game. Of course, we don't really have much else to do other than go with Absolute Zero here just to remove Icarus. I really don't want to leave it up. Absolute Zero is amazing, I love that card, and I think it's the perfect card for a spell boost deck. It's basically a little different Whirlwind, it has a draw attached to it which can be good. So even though I don't have Evolve, I still want to get this out now. I'd rather have it out than just have it be absolute trade fodder here and have it go against some stuff. Most likely either 2 for 1-ing or 1 for 1-ing, or even if it's 0 for 1, it's still a reasonable card.
Coming at you.
So Hamlin is going to trade. It's not too bad. It's a little difficult to deal with, honestly, because dealing with these 3 is going to be an absolute pain. But I can at least remove a couple of them, remove the largest one and one of the other 2 smaller ones, and hopefully leave my Owl up to absorb some more damage. At the same time, we get a couple of good boosts. I don't tend to get to use Prophecy of Doom as much as I would like, because I'm usually finishing games earlier than Prophecy of Doom can, but when Prophecy of Doom does get played, I'm saying Prophecy of Doom a lot, guys, I don't think you know how much I like that card. Anyway, it's pretty fun once you do get it to go off, although it can be quite awkward. So it's always an interesting one to try out and give a go, at least, which is always a fun thing to do. Of course, we do have to remove this Hamlin as effectively as we can, and we do get a pretty okay draw. I mean, getting the Sun and Moon now, or Moon and Sun, sorry, can be quite effective. We don't really see much more though. I mean, we're going to deal with these, they're going to be left with some stuff. Looks like they're aiming for a more hybrid build if they're running Staircase. That's my first guess, just because that's usually how Staircase goes. But outside of that, I don't think it's going to be a big issue. So they don't really have too much play-wise at the moment on board, which has been good for me. I've been able to just go off with whatever I need of whenever I need. We now also have Prophecy on the play, so it can actually be played next turn, which is good. And I do get to set up my Tsukiyomi, which I love doing. I mean, unfortunately it does become banishable, because they do tend to run banishes, but they don't tend to use it now because they've already used it once, so that's always a good thing. Now Chimera does cost 0 along with our other removal, so we've got a pretty solid turn coming up. Our double Chimeras are going to present a lot of trouble for our opponent, especially now that they're on a clock. Taking 7 damage at the end of every single one of their turns is going to absolutely kill them. And my portal isn't doing too bad at all. Their portal's going to absolutely get decimated by it. We're going to absolutely kill them with whatever we've got, and that's usually how I want to go with things. So 7 damage, we remove these 2, not really any issue. We can also set up the snowman next turn if we need to, which will be really good if we can get that to go off. So remembering that puppets banish themselves, didn't have any reason to actually do anything against it. Vengeful Puppeteer on its own isn't going to be enough to go for lethal, so they must be using it to deal damage to my followers instead. If they do decide to go face with it though, then I could be in a little bit of trouble, which is when I'm probably going to need Snowman King to definitely save me.
Darkness consumes me.
But they are trading, so that's always a good thing. And we do get the single ping.
The darkness doesn't end.
And since they did take the 7, it's actually a pretty good spot. Unfortunately for me though, going for this snowman, I just wouldn't have been able to get lethal because I only had 2 spell boosts on it and I couldn't spell boost it much more other than maybe 1 by using the Wind Blast. So we were just out of range of going for a lethal that turn. Normally you'd have snowman boosted a lot more, so you could abuse it more and get that 4 damage out, but this worked just as well and ended up getting the kill anyway with our prophecy. And then next up here we have Dragoncraft.
I guess you're looking for a fight.
Dragoncraft is presenting us with some problems, I guess, mainly because we have to deal with them as quickly as possible, and that's not a good thing when you're playing control-y decks like the previous Haven deck and this Rune deck. It can be a little awkward to play against Dragon in those cases. You're much better using a aggro deck against Dragon, just because it can deal with things a lot quicker and a lot more effectively, without too much actual issue. Of course, we do have a few good things. I mean, getting Rooney in our opener, like I said, always important to have. If you can hold on to it, definitely do so. And we're on the play, so we're going second, we're able to use Rooney's Evolve instantly and do an automatic spell boost off her, which should be great. And Dragon Summoners, not really an issue, especially when it's 2 of them. They also have the sweet Deus Ex Machina Evolved sleeves, which I wanted extremely badly and unfortunately missed out on due to losing my final game of the Grand Prix, which is a absolutely annoying thing. So next turn we are going to be able to use a Rooney. This is going to absorb their little bit of damage and followers, which is great. It's exactly what I wanted from that card. Unfortunately, we don't get the evolved use out of it though now, because we don't actually have anything to trade into. I was really hoping they'd play a follower. Unfortunately, they didn't decide to do that. But even without that, we have plenty of spells and plenty of ways to do things, so we're definitely not going to be missing out on anything here. And we did get Absolute Zero Blade, and they ended up not playing another card, which is really interesting. I don't know whether they just got all high drops in their hand, or whether they just kind of are giving up at this point, seeing what I'm playing, but really not sure what that was all about there, not playing anything at all. So my guess is they have too many high cost cards and just don't have anything to play, but I can't really think of any other option for them. Considering that turn actually was a bit better, so it definitely had to be the case that they just didn't have anything, otherwise you definitely would have been playing stuff like Sybil.
A dance to make the world blue. How could there be a future like this?
But we got some pretty good cards now. I mean, we can go Absolute Zero on the Sybil, remove that pretty quickly. Then we can pretty much play whatever we want here in the Sun and Moon, Amaterasu or Tsukiyomi, and even just ping a little bit of damage here with the Evolve.
It won't be long now.
You know, Owl's done its major job and dropped our cards to very close to playable. I do wish that the spell was playable, but unfortunately we just didn't quite have enough points to go that far yet, while still dealing with everything effectively, but it worked out anyway because we would have wanted to remove the 7/7 here, and our Wind Blasts now have well over 10 on their damage total, so they pretty much can remove any single card in the game. And with Golem Assault, I may as well go for it. I mean, we can preemptively set things up while also getting another Tsukiyomi out. This should work pretty favourably for us. So the dragons, usually a huge problem. In this case, not really. We can deal with them pretty much immediately. We can also use our Rooney stuff and play that out, get our Prophecy. All those sort of things are going to be great. We can actually play a few cards out while setting this up, thanks to the fact that we were already a couple of play points ahead. So so it does mean they are now on a massive clock. Really only 2 turns, because once I play Snowman, it's going to really narrow things down. Or once I'm able to play Snowman, sorry. Because I can remove one of these dragons very, very quickly, which is great. So Fiery Embrace instantly removes the dragon. This time I can go for the Wild Snowman, use the Evolve, remove this other dragon, and use 1 Snowman to do it as well. Deal 3 to them, and as long as they don't play, even if they play Sybil, I'm pretty sure my effect goes off before their healing takes place, and if that is the case, it will be an instant game over for them. So we've put them right within lethal range of our effect. And I believe even with Sybil, that will close our game out.
Prepare your soul.
So I don't think Sybil would be enough. And even if Sybil did take place first, I mean, we pretty much instantly get to deal whatever we want to them, so it's really not a problem for us. So I had a lot of fun with this deck. It's definitely an interesting one, and one I recommend that you check out if you've got the cards to build it. Of course, I think Rooney is definitely going to be a strong card throughout the meta, especially as things kind of change and take form and better decks come out, and at the moment I think there's definitely room to refine this deck down, but for the most part I'm really happy with it. I haven't actually got to use Giant Chimera yet, but I do think it's still nice to have that one in there, so definitely try and mess around with this deck if you get the chance. Of course, the deck list will be in the description below. You can also hit the like button and subscribe if you're interested in more content, and check out the rest of my channel. And I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.